House music moves everybody.
But this is Detroit.
It kind of went from a house to a disco to a progressive.
Doom, 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 doom.
It stirs my soul.
All of it originated from a drum machine.
It's different. It's cultural. It's spiritual.
So I think it's an excellent, excellent, excellent health monitor.
House music itself basically started simultaneously in multiple areas. For instance, in Detroit here, we went into what we call progressive music, which is basically a down-tempo, post-disco, kind of a funky groove.
It kind of went from a house to a disco to a progressive. And progressive was, like I said, rhythmic, vocals. And now we're back to house.
Different sounds were coming out of it. For instance, in New York, it was more soulful. It was more disco-ish like. In Chicago, they were experimenting with some of the new technology, making their own songs here. The Belleville Three here created their own sound. So on the house side, you had tunes like Good Life, Big Fun. On the techno side, you have people like Derek May, Eddie Folks, Juan Atkins, are doing Strings of Life, things like that were more techno-y. So that is the term techno. Actually, the term techno came from a song, it was called Technicolor.
Before there was house music, before there was disco even, there was Motown. And that started and was Detroit. And that was the world. And that's where the house music and the techno, they all took little pieces of the Motown vibe and just kind of elevated it and make it more danceable, if you will, more electronic, where the drum tracks are a consistent rhythm.
It's different. It's cultural. It's spiritual. It's a vibe in itself. I've been listening to this music when it wasn't called, it had no coin name. It wasn't techno. It wasn't house. It was just progressive music. And so the DJs who were my friends who were getting the records through record pools, there's always this instrumental on the other side, and there's always this extended version so that they could play at the backyard party or the rental hall. But the vibe itself is just an expression, and the way the music touches the people, we're just enjoying life, where it's the energy in the room. It's just an energy. It's a vibe and an energy that you can't technically describe.
There's so much history within the house music culture within Detroit. I know I can say the first time I fell in love with house music in Detroit was, I can tell you the year, it was 1989, 88, and it was not too far from here. And first song I heard was Marshall Jefferson, Gotta Have House. And it was kind of that repetitive melody, that and I went home the whole night just humming that, right? And I couldn't get enough of it. So we started listening to tapes from Chicago, GCI, and Farley Jackmaster Funk, and the whole nine. So as it evolved, we started to, once I got into DJ, I found out that there were artists here through a couple of friends of mine that were house enthusiasts and knew other DJs. And while it was all house music, there was just a different sound. And Detroit sound really is what created what we come to know as techno. It was more of an electric sound, but then you still got talent here, man, that puts out some incredible cold music. I mean, just talent that's unheard of, untapped. The ear, what I hear, what you hear, what moves me may be totally different from what moves you. But there's something about Detroit's uniqueness, whether it be hip hop or house, that has put its stamp on the house music culture and community.
So when you talk about house music and its origins, its foundation, and what really makes it grab folks, it goes back into the very simplistic art form of African American music. African music, it all started with drummers and rhythm and all of that. Most house, I won't say most house, I would say all house, whether it's Chicago, New York, or Detroit, all of it originated from a drum machine. Most folks, the first thing they always bought was a drum machine. You learn how to work that drum machine and create that sound that they wanted. And then from there, they began to expand into other instrumentation. And, you know, some folks added vocals, some folks did all techno-y, all electronic things. But it all boiled down to that foundation in African American music that's really rooted in rhythm and syncopation, and that the sounds that come out of those drums, that is very much, you know, African American, and that is the foundation of all dance music, whether it be disco, techno, EDM. It really all begins with that rhythm and that sound, and that is the foundation of what has made house what it is today.
Yeah. So the Afros with the drums and the bongos and the congos and all that, they took that and they put it in this electronic format, this formulation, if you will, and they created a new genre called Afro House, which is super hot in Atlanta, super hot in DC, and it's exploding all over the world because of an artist called Black Coffee, who kind of made it more mainstream.
It was a house beat. So it was a kind of like an 80s house beat. And it was a mixtape I was listening to. And the entire mixtape was house beats, and somebody mixed Martin Luther King's speeches on top of the beat. I remember sitting in my car for the entire mixtape, which, I don't know, let's say it was an hour. And it wasn't until maybe 3/4 through the mixtape I realized that I had been listening to music with MLK's voice and his speeches as the melody.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream
Detroit is synonymous for house. We give Chicago a lot of credit for it, but we've always had our vibe and our own kind of setup that worked for us. And Chicago house is a little bit harder, a little bit more bass, a little bit more thumpy. We like a lot of rhythmic music with vocals and things like that. But house has been a huge staple in Detroit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm 60 years old, and it's been in my life since I was 14, and it's not going anywhere. And we are all still 60-year-old going out to parties, listening to house music.
Shout out to love by my side, the world will remind us what's real. I'm riding on the cloud, to shine it out. Baby, hold on tight to the rest.
As house music began to grow and get more popular, a lot of it did start in gay clubs, particularly African American gay clubs. And that stereotype, if you will, kind of carried on for years and decades later. That it got branded as a gay music. But house music is very much African American black music.
We would go to the gay clubs where the black DJs were playing house music. You have to give credit to that because they have been vibing for a long time. The kids have been vibing for a while. And when we discovered it, we started going late night to the late night clubs to hear the really great DJs. And then it kind of transcended over. And we kind of picked it up too. And then it became a little more mainstream. And some of those incredible DJs started mentoring and teaching some of the other guys who were DJs. And then house progressive became what we listened to. But you have to give credit where credit is due. And it definitely came from the kids.
House music is very high vibrational music. A lot of the lyrics, the tones, and the sounds are all geared towards your dancing, and it evokes positive feelings.
House is universal. It transcends. It is something white, black, Chinese, straight, gay. House music moves everybody. And we can all be in one place vibing together. You don't have to have a dance partner. You can just get out on the floor and dance. The house gives everybody that bit of freedom, where you can just relax and flow with the music and just kind of go with it for a minute and not think about anything.
House music to me is a no judgment free zone. It makes me feel like I can dance without being judged. Normally when you listen to hip hop, you hear, or everybody's standing along the wall, they're singing the lyrics, but house music just makes you feel like you can just groove to the beat. It lets you be yourself, and it just takes over your body. So even like the background music that I'm hearing right now, you can just vibe. You can do any dance move, whether you can dance or not, and it'll go with the music.
House music has always been about dancing, having fun, having a good time, and that's 85% of the real house music sound, dancing, enjoying yourself, because it grew out of the disco phase. The same thing where you had folks out having a good time, forgetting about all of the hardships and everything they were doing, during the work week, etc. And they were out and they were listening to these sounds. And that moment in time was just that one thing that they can do to release and have fun.
And my mind just goes into the song. I hear the words, I hear the beat, and a lot of times the rhythmic vocalness of house is talking to you. and it's some of the stuff that you're going through. So when you listen to the words and you sing the words, and it just makes you just kind of vibe. You just feel better. It brings down your blood pressure. Um, you're in a much calmer state, and some songs just make you jump up and dance where you're sitting. So I think it's an excellent, excellent, excellent health monitor.
Classic house music in particular does something to me. That house music that we used to listen to on tape decks. A lot of you listening and watching this don't even know what I'm talking about. There were cassette tapes that we would pass around, and there would be house mixes. And a lot of that 80s house music was something that it would make me feel very energetic, like the bouncing of the head to the house music, and it was actually kind of spiritual.
It is it's a movement within inside. It's a movement within the culture, but it's also a movement within my body. House music is a type of genre of music that is really tough to sit still without patting your feet. It moves my internal metrodome. It changes my mood. It affects how I feel. It can turn my whole day around, depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm down, and that's my go-to. I'm gonna get in. If I want to hear hip hop, I'm in another mood. I want to chill. I want to relax. But house music, it stirs my soul.
When I listen to house music and I close my eyes and I dance to it, I feel sexy. I feel like I'm dancing. Everybody says dance like no one's watching. That's exactly what house music does to me. There's no other genre that makes me feel that way.
It would allow me to kind of disappear for the moments that I'm listening to this music. The rhythm was repetitive. And I know some people say, oh, well, why do you like that music? It's just the same thing over and over. But I think that was the spirituality of that house music of that time. And the beat and the instruments over the beat, the one that I always hear in my head 40 years later is doom 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 doom. I can remember sitting in the basement listening to that song over and over, rewinding it, playing it, rewinding it, playing it, because there was something about that if I looked in my heart, maybe my coronary arteries actually dilated.
I am known for not having any rhythm. I can't dance. If I break out in some type of movement, they're like, Courtney, that's not you. Stop. Like, stop right now. So when I do hear house music, it does not matter to me. They're like, oh, well, here Courtney goes. Like her house music is turned on. She's about to start dancing. She's about to dance any minute now. And there I go. So they also call me 4 count, because usually when you dance there's an 8 count, but I change up my movement every 4 seconds. I never knew that. But with house music, it doesn't matter to me. Even though I can't dance, when I hear the music, I don't give a damn what's on, what's playing, who's saying what. So I just like being in a carefree environment, and that's what house music does to me. If I hear hip hop, like, okay, I gotta twerk, I gotta do something. I don't know how to do that. Ain't nothing moving. But when house music come on, I'm probably the first one on the dance floor. So I can say that house music does bring something out of me that no other genre does. And I'm in love with it. When in the mornings, that's what gets me going. I'm playing Hey Hey by Dennis. That's what starts off my day. That's my meditation. That's my motivation to go into work. And I can't think of another type of music that could get me going like that, no matter what type of mood I'm in.
It's amazing. It's the feeling and the camaraderie that people have on the dance floor. What made me want to be a DJ was I was at a backyard party one time, and upscale neighborhood, probably 200, 300 kids, if you will, including myself. And a DJ named Ron Scott kept playing a record over and over again for like 25 minutes, and people never left the dance floor. It just engulfs you and brings you together, and it's just a joyous occasion to get together and dance. That's what it's about. The music makes you dance.
Yes, you can't escape it. Like, you can be sitting there and a good song comes on with that good beat. It doesn't even have to have words, but sometimes those words matter. Unlike other songs that's telling a story, or a ballad, or a rap song is taking you through something mentally, you feel what that person is feeling. But in house music, you feel whatever you're feeling.
My whole life, I have seen and moved to the beats of DJs. I see these machines that they use, turntables back in the day, records, now it's digital. But give us an idea, just basic idea of what are you doing back here? What are these circles? Is this an electronic turntable? Is it a real turntable? What are all these buttons? It is a drum machine. And how is it that you make this thing do its thing?
Well, first, let's go back to evolution. So I don't know if you have a picture of this, but I'm sure you'll be able to get it on camera. This is the vinyl. This is a turntable. This is how we started out DJing with this. Then we moved to this, which is called a single unit. It's called a CDJ, where you can play CDs, or you can plug in a digital source. That evolved to this, which is basically 2 CDJs and 1 mixer all together. And you can add special effects to what's going on by creating loops with these external buttons. So you can you can do some tricks, you can do anything, and it's all based on these 2 USB sticks. So now, instead of getting on a plane with a big record bag or a bunch of CDs, I can get on the plane with one of these and travel anywhere in the world and play a gig for 9 hours.
How many songs are on that USB?
You can put thousands, but let's say 3,000 songs on here.
And as a DJ, like, you're playing house music. There are thousands of house music songs. So are you in your head, what song, or is the machine telling you what might be, like an artificial intelligence? Like, I'm telling you what song should come next based on the beat, based on the rhythm, based on the RPM.
So with this board, it gives you the capability of creating folders. So I have my 1970s folder. I have my Afro House folder. I got some Ballroom Hustle. I got my Cast Tech music. I got my music from Club 246 I did. I got my music from Como's, where I played Como's for 5 years. I got my cool music on here if I'm opening up throughout the night. I come down here, I got my soulful file. So inside of these files are sub-files, which has your music on here. And so in any era, you can create a file of music and you can get to it just like that.
Okay. Can you play that song again and hit one of those loop buttons again?
Yeah. So with one button, I can start the song over anytime I want. I can stop and start at the drop of a dime, and I can create a loop. So now this is taking, let's say, 4 seconds and just re-looping it. This will take 2 seconds of that same loop and re-loop it.
Okay.
This will take 1 second, and this will literally take 1/1,000,000th of a second, all just like that. And it's one thing they call a controller. Now, when you're at the major clubs, you want to have separate individual devices because they're higher frequency. They give you a better quality overall sound.
Okay.
So a unit like this costs about $3,000.
Okay.
But a single CDJ will cost you about $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
And a mixer, a standalone mixer nowadays will cost you about $6,000. So instead of paying for 3 individual pieces $10,000, they made it affordable for a piece like this, which you can still play festivals with for around $2,000 to $3,000.
That's why DJs aren't cheap. All right, whatever you're ready.
One channel music, boy. Get a mixer with no cost fader. You had to up and down, baby, up and down, just to get the beats right. That's why Detroiters blend so well. D-Train. This is a classic that helped in the evolution from progressive music to house music. So yeah, while they might know this song worldwide, and it was labeled progressive or just R&B or just good music or freestyle, by the time we incorporated in Detroit, it's true Detroit staple of house music sound.
And the difference between progressive and house
Technically isn't a difference.
isn't. There's no difference. We just changed the name, just like a fad changed the name from some my guy, my dude.
You know,
That's the way it transformed. It's not a new genre. It is what it is. We just changed what we called it.
this is Derek Mayday, one of the originators, the fathers of techno music with Juan Atkins, Eddie Fowlkes, and Reese Saunderson. These brothers are on the wall at the Charles H. Wright Museum here in Detroit as Black History.
The inventors of this genre called Techno. This one's called Strings of Life. This is the one that's probably the most.
This is worldwide. I don't care if you're in Germany, if you're in Finland, Amsterdam, and this come on, the crowd goes crazy.
Period.
That's what we do here.
This is Detroit. This is Detroit.